Dr. Murray, you talk about the placebo effect in your book, and you have a really interesting classic case. Could you tell us about that?
I bring up the placebo effect in chapter 2, and
Mm-hmm.
what I wanted to point out in this chapter is the number one thing that drug companies won't tell you, and most doctors have forgotten, is that indwelling within each of us is a tremendous capacity to heal.
Yes.
In medical circles, they call that the placebo effect, and
Which almost downplays it,
it
doesn't
does.
it?
It does. And what they've found is that when they do clinical research and they are evaluating a drug, if they use an inert substance, usually a sugar pill, that there's usually, in some cases, a very high number of responders to that sugar pill, and
Right.
that's called a placebo response. Some conditions have a very high placebo response, others have a very low placebo response. For example, a new therapy in osteoarthritis will have a very high placebo response. Antidepressant drugs, they have a very narrow advantage over a placebo. 90% of the benefits that are shown in double-blind studies
Yes.
for antidepressant drugs are achieved in the placebo group. The curious case that you're referring to from my book involves one of the first early reports on the placebo response. It involved a man who had a very severe form of metastatic cancer. It spread throughout his body.
Okay.
And they were,
Yes.
there was a new experimental drug that was available, and the doctors put this person on the drug, and he had a miraculous remission. And then a report came out in the newspaper
Yes.
a few months later saying that this drug wasn't so good after all, and this man had a severe relapse. So, well, the doctors, didn't know what to do, so they told him that that report wasn't accurate and that they had a newer form of this drug, Krebiosin, and they actually gave him a placebo, and yet he once again went into remission until there was a news report saying the case was closed, that this Krebiosin was worthless, it didn't do a thing, and in which case the man died a couple days later.
That's the saddest story.
What it shows us is that we have this tremendous capacity to heal, and we have to align our healing so that we take into consideration our attitude, our lifestyle, our diet, proper supplementation, and the power of belief and prayer, and I also highlight that in the book
Yes,
as
you
well.
do. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.